Good morning, my name is Stephon Speller from Pensacola, Florida. Born and raised, currently reside in Ormond Beach for over 10 years now. The topic I want to discuss is Never Never Land. Now, why Never Never Land? An interaction I had with somebody inspired this topic. Reason is because today's society doesn't want to grow up. We want to stay in this childlike state where we're in our comfort zone and we pretty much don't want to accept responsibilities. You know what I mean by that? You know, the Father, he puts restrictions on the flesh. And we prioritize feeling good all the time and doing whatever pleases the flesh. You know, we're not serving the Father. You know, when I was a kid, my brother and I, we would play with our toys. We'd run around the house. You know, we have a good time. You know, we didn't have to go to work, you know, but we pretty much did whatever we wanted, whatever made us feel good. And today, if we are living a holy life, you know, God puts restrictions on our flesh, and the flesh does not like those restrictions. You know, anytime I tell my daughter it's time for her to get a bath or she needs to eat her vegetables, you know, she rebels. She rebels because those aren't things that she wants to do. Those aren't things that she enjoys. Those aren't things that make her feel good. But because I know it's good for her to bathe, it's good for her to eat her vegetables. As her father, I discipline her appropriately, and I pretty much make her do it. I put restrictions on her because she's a child. You know, God allows us to be a child, but only for a time. But God calls for us to grow up and get out of Never Never Land. You know, the flesh is very quick to anger. You know, anytime you may suggest to somebody who is, you know, overweight that, hey, maybe you shouldn't go to Krispy Kremes today. Maybe you should go for a walk. You know, typically, if they're led by the flesh, their response is going to be, well, I think you should mind your business. You know, this has nothing to do with you. I'm grown. I can live my life. Being grown is fine, but, you know, being grown, being a man and woman and adult is about growing up and being responsible. It's not all about living your best life. But that's pretty much what we're teaching our kids today. Life is about fulfilling the every desires of the flesh. You know, Jesus was a great demonstrator. The way Jesus lived his life, Jesus, as a man, did not use his flesh to fulfill its every desires. He used it to be an instrument for God, and God's glory. And that's how we need to live our lives. Or we're meant to be, if called to, be somewhat of a living sacrifice for God's glory, not to fulfill our flesh's every living desires. You know, I know I have things I enjoy doing, but they can't prioritize over responsibility. God calls for us to grow up, and part of growing up is accepting those restrictions that God has put on our flesh. You know, when I wake up in the morning and it's time for me to go to work, I honestly can say I would rather stay in my bed and sleep the whole day. But because I know what's in policy, I have knowledge of what's in policy, I know that if I do not come to work because I don't feel like it, then I am not dependable. Therefore, I could be dismissed. So we have to be concerned with what pleases God, and we have to be concerned with leaning on the knowledge and not our emotions, not things that we want. Because you're grown. But according to the Bible, we're grown, but we can't do whatever we want. We have restrictions. So let's accept those restrictions and say goodbye to Never Never Land. But before I go, I got 2 scriptures I'm going to actually read to you guys. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable. And it keeps no record of being wrong. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. And this last one I'm going to give you guys. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. When I grew up, I put away childish things. So let's grow up. Let's leave Never Never Land. Let's do what God calls us to do. Accept His restrictions on our flesh. Become obedient in His word. Lean on His wisdom, His knowledge, and not our human ideologies.